Good day. I'm excited about this because we're going wild. I mean, not wild enough to get kicked off of. We're going wild foods. Now, I want to be honest. Where I live, it's really hard to find daylilies right now. A lot of them are really dried up. So I went wild crafting. Me and my mom drove around last night, like right at dusk, and we're looking in people's yards. And we found some. Mom was like, I remember this one alley where there's like 30 or 40 daylilies right along the alley. So we drove down this alley, and it was like mom jumped out, and I was looking all over for, make sure there's nobody noticing us stealing some daylilies. But the problem with that is I picked them last night, and look at how wilted they are this morning. So if you could give us some tidbits on how to pick the daylilies and keep them watered well.
Well, I mean, so the reason that they're called daylilies is because they only last a day.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought they bloomed in the day.
Well, no, and so each one will just open up in the morning, and then by the next day, it's pretty much done, closed back up.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, show your beautiful ones. I mean, you've got.
I went out.
Okay, so you took the whole branch instead of just the.
Yeah, I cut down at the stem, and then I put them in the water just to keep them. Yeah.
But when did you pick those this morning?
It was 2 hours ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I grew up, we ate a lot of daylilies, but it was always you just got dipped it in batter and made a pancake.
Oh, yeah, little fritter.
I don't know what health benefit was, and it doesn't really have much of a taste if I remember. But it was fun. Yeah. We had like orange pancakes.
Yeah, so the color tells us that it has a lot of vitamin C. All foods that are orange, red, yellow have vitamin C in them. It does taste very mild, like a lettuce almost. But some of them are sweeter. So when you're working with wild foods, it's always going to taste different in a different area, depending on what's growing around it, how much sunlight it's getting, how much water it gets. So you always want to just kind of try yours, and then try the neighbors, and then try the ones down the street at the park, and see which one.
I'm that person that just, when I take a walk, I'm just nibbling on the weeds, right? I mean,
right. But I always think in my mind, oh, that tree tastes better than the tree in my yard. So I'm going to come back and get the berries off that tree.
But also consciously think about who sprays stuff too. I mean, some neighbors spray stuff.
Exactly.
So. But, and I was unable to get purslane, but I'm not like Lulu has. I was gonna say the luck of having it growing right out, but she was telling us a story right before that she consciously allowed the weeds to grow because it's good for you. It's like it's a wild weed that so I consciously allow. Here, let's see if you can see this one. I mean, I have to separate it because you know what that is?
Looks like sorrel.
I love this. It's like super sour. And so like whenever I'm having a salad, I just go and pick some out of my, I mean, it's a wild, and it just like it adds that lemon taste to a salad without having to have lemon. So I thought maybe this would be okay to add to this one because we have lemon as part of the recipe. So
oh yeah, that'd be great.
So you want to go over why you picked this recipe? As we wait for Lulu to show us how she's picking her.
Yeah, I should get to picking the purslane.
Is it when? Let me see. I can add you very easily as a spotlight here. So Lulu, you had said earlier, why did you decide to not cut down this weed in your backyard?
So I had done some reading and realized that purslane was edible, and all the reading I've done, it's very nutritious for you. It's like a superfood. I had read that it has more omega-3 than salmon, which is, a good thing.
Whoa.
So you don't get all sorts of the, what do you call it, heavy metals if you want to up your omega-3, I would assume. I know mine in my backyard has not been touched by any chemicals. And it's actually a very pretty plant. I mean, look at this. I feel kind of bad that I'll be whacking it down.
Yeah, you need like 2 pounds, so it's like a big bundle of it.
So I was going to ask our chef, so you're saying I should snip it at the root?
It's totally up to you. If you go in and just cut your thicker stems close to the base of the plant, I believe that you would just get new growth there. So if you want the plants to stay, you can just cut them off and leave your roots intact. I did the same thing in the community garden. I just let the purslane come into the flower bed or the vegetable bed, and then I just went and pulled it all, and it was just easier for me to pull a few plants and stick them in water.
Yeah, my mom told me if you pull them, it causes the other ones to grow more because they feel attacked. So they actually grow more robustly if you actually kind of vigorously pull some.
Yeah, and I mean, consider that it's called a weed because it does grow in places that a lot of pickier plants can't grow or won't grow, and then also just because it does spread on its own like that.
Check out that thickness of that stem. Look how thick that is.
Now, someone mentioned that there is a poisonous purslane, and I'd never heard that before.
I think they're probably talking about spurge. There is, I mean, if you've never seen purslane, I guess you could mistake spurge for purslane. Spurge is toxic. It can do some harm. We don't want to eat it, but it doesn't have thick, juicy stems. So there's, I mean, it doesn't even look like a succulent like this.
Suzanne, can I add you to Spotlight? You're working on your.
Regretfully, I had some of that obnoxious weed, that other one, and I kept pulling it out. I wish I would have left it. It's much more feathery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really flat.
And it's flat, yeah.
And doesn't it have a milky sap or juice to it? My friend grows this in her garden, so I just went over to her garden and grabbed a bunch.
Yeah, I had a gardener that I was going to get it from late last night, and what do you call it? I texted him to go over there and get it, and he's like, "Oh, I got COVID. I don't feel like having someone come over." I was like, "Okay." So even like a year later, it's still affecting some people. So, but,
a year. How many years do that?
Well, no, I mean, some people, yeah. Locally, the health organization just declared that people don't have to be vaccinated to work for them anymore because enough people are vaccinated. So, but
yeah, that's
I don't know. I think Lulu's getting too enthusiastic and getting too much.
I probably have close to what I need.
But you need like 2 to 2.5 pounds, and herbs, that takes a lot.
This is a huge bag of it.
Well, and I'm yeah, so that's like total with the leaves and everything on.
Right.
So we're not trying to get 2 pounds of stems. We're trying to get 2 pounds of purslane and then take all your leaves off your stems, which is what I am currently doing.
So you want to take all the leaves off the stems completely?
Yeah, yep, we're just pickling stems.
Are you just pulling the leaves off?
I'm just pulling the leaves off, and I
Now,
am.
can you
gonna-
hold the stem like some herbs and just pull it down and it comes off, or you have to pick off each individual?
Not so far, I haven't been able to do that.
Just like, but
Cool, so we're gonna sit here for an hour removing the leaves.
Right, right.
I like it, I like it. I'm okay with that.
it's like,
Meditative.
Well,
I feel
and-
left out. I wasn't able to get any purslane, so I'm just being one of the watchers.
There you go.
Well, I had thought that we would probably do our daylilies first, just because
It's
once
quicker.
they're done, they're done. And then this purslane project, if we have to, you know, if we haven't stuffed them in a jar and poured our brine over, then, you know,
Right.
we can easily figure that part out.
And also, if we make the daylilies, we'll have a snack while we're making the purslane, right?
Yes,
That's
yeah.
part of it is when you're making food, make sure you have snacks and drinks. I think, well, there you go. The reminder. Let me
There
have,
you go. I've got my wine.
I have my tea.
It's like it's like doing taxes. You gotta have some food at the same time or you're gonna kill each other.
Don't compare this to doing taxes.
I mean,
Just
it's
like-
same but different. I
So
No,
get
this
angry
is
doing
fun.
taxes.
I have a technical question about taking off the leaves. How thin of the like this tiny, like that little bit is not going to be used?
Yep, nope, I'm tossing those out. I just want the thicker stem.
And what about this one?
Yeah, I would
So
use
why-
that. Yeah, I would use that.
All right.
So what family does that purslane come from? What family
Oh,
of weeds?
That's a good question, Jane.
Let's see.
I
Well,
don't
we-
have the answer on that one.
Is
Who-
Fred here? He's a good
Who's the
researcher.
botanist in the house?
What's that? What's the question?
I'll try and
What-
look it up. I'll try
What
and look it
family
up.
is purslane from? Like, what is it compared to?
That is
I
a
feel like I'm going to
great-
be here all day.
Just like, so,
I should pull it back there.
Lindsay, did you want to start the daylily?
Yes.
Before my daylilies are looking pathetic, but if they last any longer, they're gonna completely wilt.
So one thing that I was mentioning is that I kind of created this this recipe because I used to have goats and make my own goat cheese, and one of my favorite things was to stuff my goat cheese into my daylilies.
Ooh, wait a second, I grew up with goats, we never did that. Oh, that sounds. Okay.
And now I am unable to have animal products. And so I just came up with a way to stuff cashew cheese into my daylilies, and that is good enough. So I would like to say that anyone who has goat cheese, soft goat cheese on hand, who would rather use that and just add your herbs to that, it's a great option. You don't have to make cashew cheese
And if you have goat milk, I can teach you in 5 minutes how to make the cheese.
yeah.
So if you're not a fan of goat cheese, which I have tried time and time again to acquire the taste, but it's not happening, would feta work?
Yeah, it's a little salty, so I wouldn't add any salt, but yeah, it would probably
I
be
would say just get like a queso blanco or a farmer's cheese, one with less intense flavor.
right. Feta's got its own flavor, but
What
Yeah.
about a cream cheese?
yep, that would work too. Yeah, and so with those soft cheeses, I would just recommend not putting them into a processor or anything with your herbs. Just chop your herbs real fine and mix them by hand. Otherwise, you're gonna thin your cheese out and it's gonna just look like green cheese.
Oh, so a reminder to people to make this cashew cheese is you do need to soak the cashews in water for like about 20 minutes. Otherwise, it doesn't get very creamy, right?
Yeah. Cashews really don't take very long to soak, but yeah, if you.
They like doubled in size. Mine, this was a cup of
Yeah.
cashews, and let's see. It's now a cup and 2/3 with the water.
Yeah, I put
Hey,
a cup of mine too.
Hey, or to your point, yes, you can take it and just go like this and remove the leaves, pull backwards on it.
Well, I saw a hack where you do it the other way. You hold the big stem and you pull it towards the little.
Oh,
herbs.
try that.
So try that, and like you can strip off. So like, like this right here is, freshly picked herb. And if I just pull it towards the small side, it pulls off a lot easier.
With the purslane, I have to say, going against its growth is more effective.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot easier than cutting it with a scissor, which is what I was doing.
Just like get your hands into it, huh? So, does anybody else want to make?
I have a quick question about the daylilies.
Yeah.
So you asked me if I had tasted them, and no, I had not. And that's part of when you're picking for fresh, you can go by, wow, this tastes good, or this is bitter, or whatever. So it doesn't matter necessarily the hybrid of the daylily, it's more the flavor you're going through for.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I have a lot of people feel like the yellow ones are actually sweeter, more flavorful. So a lot of people use the yellow ones. Now, just the forager in me is screaming that I have to remind everybody that daylilies grow from a naked stem. The leaves are down on the ground, and the leaves are growing up from the ground, and the leaves are not on the stem.
Oh, so you can just pick the whole stem, no problem.
Right. The reason I mention it is that true lilies have leaves all along their stem, all the way up to the flower. Don't eat those. Real true lilies are toxic. Daylilies are not in the lily family. They just look like them.
Got it.
So the common name is quite confusing. But so the yellow variety is preferable by most foragers. I love the orange ones because that's my favorite color. Also, the darker the colors, the more nutrients it has. That is
look at Lulu's.
That is the case all across the board. So if those taste good to you, Lulu, absolutely you can use them. If they were to have like a soapy taste or make your tongue numb or something like that, obviously maybe those aren't the ones to use. Some cultivars are going to work, and some cultivars might have some sort of unsavory flavor.
So I should really pick off a petal and nosh on it?
Yes.
Taste it before you make
I would
it.
try it before you go and stuff them all with your cheese that you worked really hard for, because maybe you want to use that and stuff it into dates instead. If you're
Do I need to wash it? Get the bee dirt off?
I don't know to wash flowers because they're too delicate.
All right, here goes.
They'll get limp and slimy, and
I don't think they have much of a taste at all myself.
usually it tastes like a sweet, mild lettuce, like ice.
Exactly. That's what I'm tasting.
Really? Yeah. I mean, I don't like lettuce.
Stuff that one, even though I ate a big old petal off.
Yes.
Yours are so beautiful, Lulu. Look at the color.
I was driving around, this one lady, I'll tell you this story real fast. Last night, real close to my house, this woman has these beautiful daylilies. I rang her doorbell and told her about the cooking show the next day. She said, no, I could not come back the day of. She gave me a bunch that had already opened yesterday. They looked horrible this morning. And I knew better than to go because she said, I didn't go back to her, but hers, she said, these are 100 years old. She got them from her grandmother, and they were very thick. Like it wasn't just a single layer of petals. There was more petals and a lot of them. And they were the orangish yellow. They were gorgeous. I didn't nibble on them. I may go back. But so then I just went driving around and I just tried to find a home that had a lot of them, because there were some that were but they only had like 5 flowers and I couldn't decimate what they had. And I would never have just taken them. I would ring the doorbell. But this, I made a friend. I'm so excited about this foraging. So,
I mean, you live in the very inner city.
I live in the suburbs.
The Shawnee National Forest out here, there's a lot of old farmsteads where they just have the flowers growing wild
Yeah.
in the forest, where they had planted around them a lot of flowers and they're still growing, 50 years later. So,
Oh, that's sweet.
Lulu, did you want to make the cheese along with us?
Oh yeah. I'll stop my purslane.
Suzanne,
Mhm.
I don't know if you wanted to make the
I-
dip
I-
along with
This
us.
one, you guys, I'm so excited.
Look how
I'm
thick.
watching
Oh my
you.
goodness.
That
Look how
looks
thick that
awesome.
is.
So to make the cashew cheese, and if you're using a different kind of cheese, just wait while we do this first process, and then we'll add some herbs to it. So I'm just adding a couple of tablespoons of lemon juice to my soaked cup of cashews. I've got my nutritional.
Now, did you dump the water out of the cashews or you poured the water in also?
So I strained most of my water off. There is just a little bit of water to help with, yeah, hopefully we're wanting a thick, so I would strain your water off.
Yeah.
We're wanting a thick cheese that we can.
Yeah, it's really interesting. This was a cup of cashews and now it is, a cup and 2/3.
Maybe I could have probably strained all my water off. We'll see what happens when I mix it up. I might have to add some more cashews. I'm gonna add some my nutritional yeast. That's optional. You don't have to add it. I've got 2 cloves of fresh garlic. I like mine extra garlicky. You might just want 1 if you don't like spicy. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my salt and pepper to this.
Do you think I should put the sorrel stems in too or strip it off? Yeah, these ones are pretty. This is a pretty thick. I'll not put
Yeah,
in.
it could be stringy.
It barely breaks.
Oh yeah, it could be woody. I am gonna mute while I turn my
Zoom will mute you.
it will.
Yep, the loud sound. So don't talk while it's going on.
Oh, okay. I usually push the button. I'm nervous now.
Don't worry. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I need some garlic.
Gosh, I hope I don't offend everybody.
So I'm putting the wild sorrel. Well, you can't see it really now. I put the wild sorrel. I stripped it off of the stem.
So what else did she put in there? I've got cashews and my garlic. What else?
Any herb you want. Like, she had a list of herbs. Someone look in the chat.
And she put the nutritional yeast in, didn't she?
Oh yeah.
And how much?
Just
She
like
didn't say.
Okay, well, so nutritional yeast is 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons. Same with your lemon juice, depending on how sour you want that. 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons is great. I used 2 cloves of garlic, but most people probably just want 1.
I'll
And that's
hold
it.
up on the
That's
lemon
it.
juice based on the sorrel. I'll see how sour it is and then see if I need to add.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a teaspoon. It's 2
Um,
tablespoons. All right.
yeah, I just like that flavor that it adds to it.
That adds that nutty cheese flavor.
Yeah.
What's the texture of yours came out really thick or
Yeah, let's see here. It's not quite as thick as I'd like it to be, but I think it's thick enough, especially since I'm gonna add some herbs that'll stiffen it a little.
so I think I need to add liquid to it because see mine's still like
Oh, I like that. I would use
Oh, yeah?
that. Yeah,
it's almost like a ricotta.
yeah.
So I do not have the dry herbs. What do you recommend, or the fresh herbs? What do you recommend?
Okay, I need some more.
So that's really, up to your taste. The herbs that I brought in for this today, I'm using parsley, basil, cilantro, and bee balm, Monarda, which is very similar to oregano. It's very spicy. So let me see.
I mean, you're just basically making like a flavored ricotta, like if you ever
Yep. We're just herbing our cheese, whichever cheese you're using. So this is the Monarda, the bee balm that I'm using. I'll just use these top leaves and some of the petals.
Oh,
So
that's
I'll have
phenomenal. Oh my goodness.
some purple in my cheese. And then I have some fresh cilantro. I just
This
grab
tastes like cheese. This is weirded me out.
yeah.
I would just like I mean, it
So,
tastes like herb cheese. But yeah.
So one thing that we're going to do is just when we take our flowers off their stems, we're gonna really pinch back that stem. They have like a long section on the bottom of them, and I just kind of pinch that off. And then once you have your flower, you remove your reproductive parts from the middle. And you can actually just go through and do that to each one of your flowers. Pull it off the stem. Make sure you've got a real short stem down at the bottom. And
Sorry,
then
I'm distracted. I'm cleaning out my blender and eating the cleaning part.
Okay, all right. Well,
I was just like,
we're
oh my God, this tastes good.
step, which is taking our reproductive parts out of our flowers, taking our flowers off the stems, getting them ready to be stuffed before I chop my herbs. Now, if you are chopping your herbs, go ahead, do that.
Oh, wait a second. I wasn't supposed to put the herbs in the cheese.
Oh yeah, you can totally put your herbs in your cheese. What I was saying at the beginning is sometimes if you add those herbs to your mixing apparatus, you will you can have they just kind of blend into the cheese, and then it's just green cheese, and you can't really tell that you have big herbs in it. You just
That's true. I mean, I put a big sprig of herbs in there and it doesn't really have. I mean, I slightly taste the sorrel, but not the oregano or the thyme I put in. All right.
yeah. So many different combinations that you can use here. I've done, an Italian style where you've got rosemary, basil, some oregano.
Yeah, I think mine are completely shot. They're like mushy in the center.
Yeah.
I mean, I picked them late last night, but
Yeah, they
Or
probably
actually-
needed their stems.
I actually have a picture of my mom picking them in the alley, so like I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've turned mushy in the center, so mine are shot. So I'm gonna have non-stuffed mixed with salad one. 'Cause I'm
Well, yeah,
gonna
like
chop them up and add them to my cheese.
exactly. Yeah, just pull your petals off and yeah, add them to your cheese.
So can you not eat the stem? I mean, this stem is kind of tender.
Yeah. I think that the one that your flowers are attached to.
So is this okay to leave on here? Is that all good?
That's
Or?
okay. That's okay. I just ate it.
Okay, and then just go inside and pull out all the stamen.
Yep. And actually, there's an interesting fact about these guys is that each daylily has 3 actual petals and 3 sepals. So it looks like it has 6 petals, but 3 of those are sepals.
The skinnier ones?
Right.
Okay.
Actually, I think this is how I'm gonna do it in the future. It's less work for myself personally.
Yeah.
And just chop them up and put them on the top of the salad like that. But serving to others, stuffing it is phenomenal looking, right?
Yeah.
But all right. Now I know I can get the ones that don't look perfect to just chop them up on top.
Yeah.
Add a little vitamin C to my. But let's see what it tastes like. It's been years since I've ate daylilies, and I remember them as not having a taste. These ones, like you said, it's like a sweet lettuce. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's so nice that so many old lots where farms used to be will have big stands of daylilies still when you're driving out in the country.
That is a new trend of like salads at fancy restaurants with having the edible flowers on them.
Oh yeah. I went to a small town farmer's market yesterday and I took a bunch of edible flowers with me, including like a whole vase of daylilies. And I mean, I got a few people to try them, but most people just looked at me like I was real silly.
They're like, you're not supposed to eat beauty. Beauty is on the outside.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly opposite. Eat your beauty and then beauty's on the inside.
My
Yeah.
favorite flower to eat are narcissus. No, nasturtium, I mean, sorry.
So if you eat those, you become a narcissist. Is that what you're saying?
No, you don't eat those. You eat nasturtium. Nasturtiums, because then you can eat the leaves, the seeds.
Oh, thank you for
flowers.
reminding me. Actually, I have some nasturtium leaves in my fridge. I'll grab them.
They're so good.
There you go. Suzanne, mention some other wild stuff and see if she's got it in the fridge.
Yeah.
She's got a similar fridge to you, Suzanne, just like a cornucopia of wildness.
Nice.
I do have them. There they are. So little nasturtium leaves there.
They're so pretty. And they're so peppery and yummy.
Yeah, these are gonna be perfect.
So Lindsay, what herbs are you chopping, you said, for your stuffed?
So I have the nasturtium leaves, some bee balm or wild bergamot or monarda, depends on who you are, what you call it. I have the leaf and the flower of that. Basil, parsley, cilantro, those are my fresh ingredients.
That's a cornucopia of different tastes there.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes together. I think I'm going to end up with something a little more spicy than I usually make, but I think that'll be just right for today.
There you go. You don't have to add black pepper now.
Yeah,
You've got your own local spicy.
yeah, indeed.
Have you ever used a pepper plant in there?
Pepper plant.
That's a weed.
Yeah, yeah, like just put a pepper in it.
No,
No,
have you
a
ever used
pepper
the pepper
plant.
plant?
It's a weed and has little nubs on it and very spicy, and it's a European stuff, but I don't know if you ever use them.
Well,
I don't know
I'll
if
look
it grows in
I'll
the
look it up to see
Midwest.
if I can find it. Because I've never
Oh.
heard of it, but someone else has mentioned it within the last few days.
Okay, you've got your book, Suzanne.
It's a
I've
pepper
got
plant. It's a very common weed. And
But you said a common weed in Europe.
no, here. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
when you can identify it if you know your stuff, but if you don't, you know.
That's how I always learn stuff. I tell my mom, what's the name of this weed? Or no, what does this weed do? Because she never knows the name. And she goes off. She learned from my great grandfather, traditional medicine man, all about different herbs and what they do. And so yeah, what does this weed do? So we kind of had fun wild crafting in the city last night, trying to track down some daylilies. Because she goes for walks all over the city, and she's like, I remember in this one alley that had some daylilies.
There you go. That's a one pepper weed. That's a pepper weed. Yes.
There you go, Lindsay.
those-
The picture. Can you
oh
see?
yeah, you know, I've been looking for that, and I just kind of taste everything that looks like that, and I've only come across one.
Just
Okay.
in your wild trips?
Right. That's pepperweed.
Yeah, just this year, I'm trying to become familiar with that weed. I just I've only come across it once where I was like, oh, that's what that is. That's it.
The pepper plant weed is in the mustard family.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, we have so many wild mustards. Huh.
Yeah, it says it's called the poor man's pepper.
Yeah. I certainly have come across it. It's
Mhm.
not one of my familiars, though. It's not one that's just regularly used in my house.
And it says the entire plant is edible.
Yeah.
Sauteed or used fresh in salads.
That's what I grow in my garden. I have a bunch of that, different ones. I have a German guy who gave me all his weeds, you know, and I just grow it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. I've learned a new thing today. Yay.
Yeah, you'd walk out into mom's garden and you would swear it was just a patch of weeds. And she's like, nope.
Yeah.
She would purposely go out into the woods and then, pick
Right.
weeds and then bring them, transplant them into the garden. So
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Purslane is this is for Jane's question. It's a portulaca is the family.
I think Ingeborg asked that.
Portulaca. Okay.
Ingeborg. Okay. Yeah, portulaca oleracea. Common purslane, also known as little hogweed or pursley.
Oh, see, I grew up knowing it as hogweed.
Yes, hogweed. I know that
Yep.
name too.
And that's so confusing to me because hogweed is a totally different thing in my world.
Oh, really? In Tennessee, yeah, they called it hogweed.
And it says it's an annual, but in zones 10 or 11, it's a tropical perennial.
Yeah.
And I was told it was called a hogweed because the hogs would eat that one, but not the one that looks similar. So you look for what the hogs eat, and that's what you eat.
Yeah, the spurge, yeah, they'll leave the spurge alone.
So
Yeah.
All right. Well, mine is a little softer than I'd like it to be.
Yeah.
Even with my herbs added, but I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go ahead and stuff it in. And then we'll get started on some brine for our purslane pickles.
Lulu, can you show us how you're picking that out?
I'm just grabbing it as close to the bottom. as
Honestly, I just wanted to see how beautiful the flower was, but
I know.
That's really pretty.
And she's such a sweet lady, and they have all sorts of vegetables in their garden. It's corn and cucumbers and tomatoes.
you didn't steal any of that too.
No, but I think she may be giving me some. So question about the tip. This is kind of green, but leave that on.
The stem.
That's gonna be up to your personal preference. I would just go ahead and try it, and if you like it, that's fine. Mine were quite sweet, so it's fine to leave it on.
And it gives you a handle to eat it in if you don't
That's
want
what
to.
I was thinking.
Yeah, hold on to it.
So there's the one
yeah.
I already noshed on here.
It's just it. Okay.
Oh, it's edible. It's
Yeah, mine were pretty good. So
kind of a little lemony.
just imagine though, like I'm not gonna fill a whole tray just because I want to move on to the brine for the pickles, but just imagine like a whole plate full of these beautiful stuffed daylilies. I have taken these to cookouts and people just go crazy over them. And they
Well,
just
do they first say what the bleepity bleep is that?
no, not really.
You have
Yeah,
good friends
right.
then. If I brought a tray of
Surprisingly,
flowers, they'd
nobody
be like,
really
what?
asked me. Yeah. I think that people who are just weirded out by eating flowers would just avoid them.
Oh.
But, I was surprised that they all disappeared at a very small town gathering. Yeah, not just like people who know me.
So you're just stuffing this and leaving it like that?
Yep, just leave it like that.
And
You
it
just
doesn't
put like
get
a
washed?
tablespoon in there rounded.
Well, Lulu, what I imagine you're going to do is stuff all your daylilies, and then you're going to have to go back to that lady's house and let her have some of them because you're going to have lots to share.
So I will, and I'm also going to bring some by to the lady who wouldn't let me pick them fresh today.
That's how you build community. Yep.
Well, I'll just tell her I couldn't use them because this is how oh, I'm so excited. This is beautiful.
Yeah, they either need to be fresh or you just cut your whole stem because, each of these stems has new buds that haven't opened.
Now, will those ones that haven't opened, if you leave them on your counter, open next day or possibly?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was afraid most of the ones we picked last night this was the last one that was blooming, but a couple of them still had, and I had considered taking the whole stem, but I didn't want to ruin the ones that were not opening.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Mine's really good. What?
So this is really thick. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
easier to stuff it in.
Yeah, I would think that, stiff and thick is easier to work with, I feel like. All right. Now.
Oh, that's so good. I'm just eating the stuffing.
I'm gonna get a,
Ta-da!
I'm gonna get a teaspoon.
Oh, Lulu, I need a picture of that. That's too pretty for not.
That is gorgeous.
It's fun. And I just went heavy on the garlic and a little bit of parsley, and it's delicious.
All right, I'm gonna get started on this pickle brine. So I'm using 3 allspice berries and a ½ teaspoon of coriander, cumin, and mustard.
Ooh. That's flavorful.
Okay, you have to repeat that. I'm focusing on stuffing a daylily, so. As per usual, as purslane usual, I'm behind.
That's all right. Or is gonna start extending my time, because I always try to do too much.
I just was reading a book this morning called Soil Sisters, and it said farmers are entrepreneurs. Yeah, so I don't know.
That's too good. I like that. All right, so I'm gonna get
Okay,
it.
so I heard 3 allspice berries, and that's where my brain stopped.
Okay, 3
Okay.
allspice berries, and then a half a teaspoon of each cumin seeds, coriander seeds, and mustard seeds.
Cumin, coriander, and mustard.
Only a half a teaspoon. That's not very much.
That's only a half a teaspoon. That's what my recipe says.
I
That's
trust
what I'm
you.
going with.
All right.
I like to put my spices in the bottom of my pan and heat them just a little by themselves with nothing in the pan
Yeah.
to get the aromatics going.
It's in,
Um,
yep.
So the full recipe I'm reading here says 2 to 2.5 pounds or 8 to 10 cups rinse purslane stems. Here it says with the leaves on. Thicker stems are better for pickling. 1 onion, 1 cup apple cider vinegar, a half a cup water, 2 tablespoons sugar or honey, 1 teaspoon kosher or non-iodized salt, half a teaspoon cumin, half a teaspoon coriander, and half a teaspoon mustard seeds, and then those 3 allspice berries. And then you can water bath it if you want to store it for a long time.
What do you mean water bath?
Can it.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, you're just doing what I would call refrigerator pickles. You just put it in the brine, put it in the fridge, and then you can start using them in a couple days, right? But if you had a lot of it, you could actually can it. But I would say probably in Lulu's climate, purslane grows probably all winter for her.
I don't think so.
No?
I think it dies back.
Okay. Well, then you might want to consider, you could can a couple jars of this and then you'd have it if you really, really like it.
Yeah.
So.
I'm so excited. I had all the whole seeds. I think that's thanks to my other cooking classes I've joined in on Leave It to Chef.
Yeah, I used to always buy the ground stuff, and now I really like buying the whole because it doesn't go bad. It really lasts. I've had spices, ground spices, I don't know, go bad, go really, 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 really weak.
It just
Yeah.
gets stale and old.
They
Yeah,
get-
they just don't have any scent or flavor anymore after a while.
Yeah, they just lose their potency. So, but
Yeah, I love dry roasting. It smells so good.
yeah, and I have basically a little electric coffee grinder, so I'll dry roast them. That it seems to really enhance the spice, and then I put it in the little coffee grinder if I need powder.
You have a tiny coffee roaster?
No, I have a little tiny coffee grinder.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you roast them a little bit and then you put them in your grinder?
I roast them like on a pan on the stovetop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great.
Couple minutes and it enhances, but you want to. There's like 2 different levels. There's like slightly roasted, and then there's really roasted, and it really changes the slightly roasted is better because it's more of a raw food, so it still has a lot of health properties.
Yeah. Oh, my seeds are popping. I just put them over like medium high heat. My seeds are popping. So now I'm just gonna add my water and vinegar to that hot pan.
And what's the amounts again?
1 cup vinegar and a 1/2 cup water.
Vinegar.
It
And
says 1 onion, so are you just dicing it very fine?
well, the onion here is sliced.
Oh, okay. So
That's just gonna go in with your stems in the brine.
got it. So you actually have the texture, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's, you know, I guess that's optional for people who don't want to use it. Just 2 tablespoons of honey. I'm gonna mix that in with my my water and vinegar that's getting warm now.
You want to mix it while the water is warm, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
But you probably don't want to let that water get too hot with the honey because you might want the enzymes.
Yeah.
So
and how much of the sweetener?
2 tablespoons.
Yeah, you can use sugar or honey there. We are going to chop the purslane into like 1-inch pieces. I'm
So
just chopping what I have. I
have
didn't,
you added your liquid to your spices once they're,
Yeah, she added the vinegar and water to the spices.
yeah.
And then
and is it on the heat still?
I'm taking it off the heat because it's warmed up.
you just want it warm.
Yeah.
If you're using honey, you could get it warmer if you're using sugar, but if you want the natural enzymes of the honey, you don't want it very hot. If you want to keep it as a kind of a raw food more.
So I've got, I just put some onions in the bottom of my jar and I'm putting my little 1 to 2-inch pieces of purslane stems in my jar.
Now, do you always do just the stems or do you do the leaves also?
I have not tried pickling with the leaves. I'm not sure, you know, to me, they're more mucilaginous.
Yeah,
So I don't know if that would kind of affect your brine and turn your brine kind of more into a gel.
yeah.
It could. Let's just turn this way.
I'm just always thinking of more efficient ways if we can make it without taking all the leaves off the stems.
Yeah,
That would be a lot easier.
agreed. Yeah.
But it comes down to how thick your purslane leaves are. If they're thin, they'll kind of dissolve. And if they're thick, they might hold the texture. Especially if they have a huge stem, like that is like bigger than my finger.
But you're pickling it, and what you're gonna do with it?
I will probably let mine sit for about a week in the fridge and then just eat them.
So you just eat them like plain, or do you put it on salad, or what,
Eat it.
what is your
I mean,
preferred?
you can eat it plain or put it on a sandwich or in a salad or whatever.
So anywhere you would put normal pickles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they would be really good in like a chickpea salad. I like to make one that's kind of, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like these spices, what I would do. Because you could also just use like a dill recipe or even a bread and butter recipe.
Yeah.
Would be good.
But this mixture of spices is my preferred pickle spice. Like,
Yeah.
I almost never can find pickles with, it's kind of like a sweet and savory at the same time pickle recipe.
Yeah.
And but almost never can, unless there's a couple Amish picklers that make them like this, and it's definitely an elevated pickle. So It's really, for me, it's the mustard seeds that gets me. Just that. But
Have you harvested wild mustard seed or?
I have I? I remember harvesting mustard seed, but whether it was wild or not, I mean, in my mom's garden, you never know if it
Yeah.
wasn't. It was just
Right, I mean, what I would call like field mustard.
yeah. There's a ton of seed on them.
Yeah,
I mean, they're teeny, but like, yeah, I mean,
right. You know, I'm taking care of those community gardens this year, and we have many families from all over the world. I don't even know where half of these families are from. And the majority of the plots have mustard greens. And they'll pick the greens in the springtime. And then I believe that they're coming back and getting the seed too.
mhm.
They're flowering right now.
I recently saw you know, a little short, it was probably a TikTok video of someone talking about if your cilantro bolts, like go back and pick the seeds. It's this thing called coriander. I'm just like, it's the exact same plant. Just like, so yeah, if your cilantro ever bolts,
Then you have coriander.
you have the coriander seeds, and
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah, I
That's a-
didn't even know that when I was going to school for nutrition. I learned about them being the same plant embarrassingly late in life, I feel like.
But the coriander grows also here on the beach. And that is it's a very big leaf as such. And that's one of those medicinal stuff. A lot of people use it for really good spicing, pickling, but it's really very strong coriander tasting when you eat the leaves.
Oh, yeah.
so Lindsay, what are you working on now?
I am still picking more of the leaves off my purslane stems.
There you go. Look at how many Lulu has. Somehow she got ahead of us.
No,
Yeah.
I quit. I have a whole sink full of it, but I wanted to catch up.
So now you're gonna chop them?
Well, I need to do the onion, yeah. And I have both red, which I find is stronger, and then I have a Vidalia, which is sweet. Maybe I should use the Vidalia.
It just matters if you want the whole jar to turn purple, because what'll happen is it'll leach out all the purple out of the onion,
Yeah.
and the liquid will turn purple, and you won't be able to see anything in it.
Well, I have enough that I could probably experiment with.
I've done that before, where like literally the onions ended up being white, and it leached all the purple into the liquid, and it was cool coloring. But if you were going for something where you wanted to see what was in it, it didn't work very well.
So at least a week is good for the pickling aspect of the purslane. A week's time will allow the flavors. to-
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've done
If,
well. Yeah.
yeah, even if you're canning, I would say let them sit for a week. I'm just doing, it's a small batch, really. I mean, it seems like a lot because we're picking a lot of purslane, but once we get all those leaves off and it's down to all just our stem pieces, we really don't have a lot of material that we're working with. So I'm
Now
just-
the leaves, do you take them and then just make it like a pesto with them, or?
Well, right,
Not
we
waste
can
them.
use them, we can put them into salads, we could freeze them and use them in soups. They're great for thickening soups. And they add that little bit of sour flavor too, and you know, a little extra nutrition. What are some other things that we could do?
How big are, how large is the onion? I mean, I've got pieces like that big, or
Oh, yeah, that's personal preference, you know, do you enjoy eating thinly sliced onions out of your pickle jars? If not, if it's just gonna be flavor. So if you like to eat them and you like them sliced thin, then slice them thin. If you are just gonna use them as just a flavor in your.
So you're putting them in the bottom.
Yeah, I might throw a few here in the middle too. I am.
My favorite is basically chopped up onions and chopped up Scotch bonnet peppers in a jar. And then you basically, you know, a couple hours later, you can take it and put it over stuff. It's just like extremely, well, if you have to put the sweet in there to balance off the spicy.
Yeah.
You know, it's a Jamaican way of, well, putting on rice or fried fish or, yeah, it's, I forget what it's called, but it's a sweet and savory pickle. But
What is a bonnet pepper?
Scotch bonnet, it's it's the same family as habanero. Habanero is from like Central America, and Scotch bonnet is from the Caribbean. It's the same family.
Okay.
Yeah, but one is Scotch bonnet is slightly sweeter.
Okay.
But anyway, or it's just always served with sugar or something to sweeten it.
Losing my mind.
Like, all right. I wonder, we're gonna have to come back next week and actually taste this pickles to say how it compares to other types of pickles.
Yeah.
But would it complement, you know? I mean, it should be used with something complementary
Mhm.
food with it, wouldn't it?
I mean, purslane is slightly sour, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Lulu, what do you think it tastes like?
And backyard.
My backyard. That's not a good compliment for most people.
So I have to admit that the flavors of the pickling and stuff will just probably take over. It's a wild flavor, you know,
But it's very mild. Yeah.
it's not bad. I will.
Have just enough in my jar here. I'm gonna
So-
go ahead and put my brine over.
Are these too little?
I don't think so. They don't look too little to me. I've got
Okay.
some pretty skinny ones in mine.
Lulu, did you mean in length or thickness?
Thickness.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the length, I can see me doing like long, like spears of them eventually once I get this down.
But then you'd have to chop it to serve it on stuff. You probably know.
Or people would just pick it up and eat it like they would have pickled asparagus
Oh,
or
okay. Yeah.
a cucumber.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see where I'm gonna need a lot more. Throw a couple more onions in there.
I think I have changed my mind, and with my pint jar, I think I'm gonna pour it into a quart and just fill a quart. Instead of doing 2 pints, because I can tell I don't have enough liquid for 2 pints, but I do have enough if I fill a quart jar.
So we could
And-
just keep making more liquid as we need it.
And then
Absolutely.
also, if you're putting in the refrigerator, 1 quart takes half the space in the fridge.
Yeah.
So how big do you chop the purslane?
I mean, 1 to 2 inches.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got some really small ones.
Excellent.
But
They're super crunchy though.
like Lulu said, you could probably do like asparagus spear or a pickle spear. You could do the whole thing. But I don't
Yeah.
think. Do you think you could fit as much in there if they were long, skinny, as if they're chopped up?
Yeah, you just kind of pack them. Pack them
Well,
in.
I do know you don't want to, when you can stuff, you don't want to pack it too much because you want it to have that liquid around it well.
Yeah.
You know, if it's too packed in, you won't But all right. Any other tidbits, Lindsay?
I don't know.
Now, if I just walked into your kitchen right now and just ate one of those flowers, you wouldn't mind, but someone else would be like, what? If I walked in and just started eating their bouquet on their kitchen counter.
Yeah, the kids at the farmer's market yesterday were pretty blown away when I was handing them petals to try to taste. But yeah. This was fun to share.
Yeah, thank you.
One of my
Awesome.
favorite things, daylilies. I just eat
Lulu's just very excited that she could use up her weed garden in the back that she
I
purposely.
know.
I mean, you purposely didn't cut them all down, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pulled every other kind of weed that grew up around them. And it turned out to be a beautiful, I thought, pretty ground cover. And the only thing I have growing in there is a couple of morning glory vines are going up the fence. That's normally where I have my basil. I usually have humongous basil plants so there's no pesto this year.
Well, that's where I was thinking. I wonder how using the purslane leaves would be as a pesto.
Ah, that's a thought.
Yeah, you would get that green flavor and it's slightly sour. Yeah, and so it's be well, just a different. I mean, whenever I have extra herbs, period, I'll either blend them with water and then freeze them in cubes, or I have what do you call it? Let me see if I can show you. I've got a baking tray, like a cupcake tray that they're small mini cupcakes. They're about this size of a golf ball. So it's like bigger than an ice cube and smaller than a cupcake. And I'll freeze them and
Just throw them into soups or whatever.
right. Or what do you call it? I'll mix some oil in it too.
Ah,
Just a small amount of oil. And it's just a cheap way of preserving a lot of herbs.
yeah.
Because you buy a big batch of herbs and you use like a couple springs of it and you're like, what am I going to do with the rest of this? I mean,
All right.
above my counter, if I turn the camera up here, I've got probably 15 bundles of herbs hanging down drying. But then sometimes I bump it and there's a shower of herbs. Oops, I got spice in my things. So all right.
I just checked, and yes, you can make purslane pesto, and you use walnuts and pumpkin seeds.
Ooh.
Now, I didn't look to see if it's the leaves or what, so I haven't looked all the way into it, but
I usually don't even add nuts when I'm doing it because I'm usually doing it for the herbs, not as an actual pesto. And then I'll add, like, if I use it in pasta, I'll add like whole nuts into it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but usually I'm making a massive quantity of, the herbs. So,
I
right.
think my purslane's about ready to bolt because it looks like at the very tips, there's starting to be like a little, I don't know if you can see it, but
little yellow bud.
well, no, it's not even that much yet. It's just a little, you can see it's a cluster.
Yeah, mine are getting that too. Where are you at, Lulu?
St. Louis.
Oh yeah.
I
Cool.
don't know my zone. I got to find out my zone. It's maybe 7B or I don't know. Something
Yeah.
6.
All right.
I'm
Does
bored.
anybody have any final comments or questions? Thank you, Lindsay, for sharing something unique again. We always welcome you back because
I hear she has a foraging class on the 16th of this month. I'm like, I was already checking out how long of a drive. It's like 5.5 hours for me.
That's so awesome, Lulu. I have family near you, so if I come to the area,
there you go. Schedule a foraging class in
Yeah.
St. Louis.
Yeah,
Oh.
so
An
and
urban
I will-
foraging class. That'd be a unique class right there.
well, I mean, that's what I do here in Des Moines every month. I go on 2 foraging walks every month in we go to a different park each month. And actually in like a week and a half, I'm gonna go to northern Missouri. Someone is paying me to come to their farm and show them what they can eat.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
Nice,
we
and
actually have a
the most-
local farm that they were, inherited it from their parents. And they were originally gonna, farm a bunch of stuff, and they ran through a farm class, and they decided, hey, we're just gonna wildcraft everything. And they make shrubs, they make vinegars, they make hot sauces, they just flavored stuff with wild, and they're really unique. And then, of course, there's Scratch Brewery, who does the same thing with
beer.
beer. They just wildcraft, and every batch they do is unique because it matters. Even if they did one flavor from last year, this year, the trees could be a little different, or the herbs could be slightly different. So people who like unique tastes, like
Explain
every year,
why.
it's something slightly different. So,
Explain wildcraft and what you do.
Okay. Lindsay.
Lindsay, what you call yourself as a wildcraft? I mean, you're an herbal woman, or what education
Yeah.
do you have? That where do you come from?
So sometimes, so as far as wild food goes, I usually refer to that as foraging.
What is
when-
foraging? How do you spell that word? Sounds like me, like forest and foraging. I don't know. What
Yeah,
does-
forage, forage.
Oh, forage. Okay.
And so that's what I refer to, going outside and finding food to eat.
Okay.
When I say the word wild crafting, that refers more to herbal work, where I am still foraging. I'm going out and I'm finding wild plants to work with, but wild crafted foods, wild crafted medicines, drinks, those are typically more herbal plants that you're using rather
What
than
is
just
medicinal? Do you define between medicinal and
Right.
and where's the crossing line? Because that is, I come from.
I'm sure that, I'm sure the lines are really blurred because
pretty much anything you eat is medicinal in some way. It can be bad food or good food, right?
yeah,
What you put into you is medicine.
yeah.
I always said that $1 hamburger doesn't include the cost of the quadruple bypass surgery later in life. So good food is good medicine, and it causes a good life. So,
Yeah.
and part of good food is making it with love. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. Just like keeping the process of making food alive. So
Yeah, thank you so much for hosting this every week, Laura. This is really a lovely community.
Thank you.
Thank you.